welcome back. This is Viewpoint. You're watching it with me, Griha. Now, this evening, we also delve into the deeply contentious and historically significant legal battle that has captured nation's attention. The Gyanvapi Mosque in Varanasi has been at the center of a protracted dispute involving its historical origins and the rights of worship. Today, a crucial development took place when the district judge AK Vishwesha pronounced a groundbreaking order allowing a scientific survey of the mosque premises by the Archaeological Survey of India between 8 and 12 a.m. Now, this survey comes in response to an application that was filed by 4 Hindu women worshippers seeking all year-round worshipping rights in the Gyanvapi Mosque compound. Their application asserts the existence of Swayambhi Jyotirlinga at the site, which was allegedly repeatedly destroyed by Muslim invaders with hostility towards idol worshippers. They contend that the present structure of the mosque bears signs of being a former Hindu temple. In light of this extraordinary claim and the subsequent findings of a shivling during a court-ordered survey in May 2022, the court has now decided to conduct a comprehensive scientific investigation. The goal is to establish the truth behind the disputed site's history and, more importantly, ensure that no damage occurs to the Gyanvapi Mosque during the survey. Amidst this backdrop, tensions have escalated with the Allahabad High Court's recent observation that seeking worshipping rights for Hindu deities within the mosque premises does not aim to alter the mosque's character. Now, tonight, we assemble a distinguished panel of legal experts, historians, religious scholars, and also socio-political commentators to discuss the implications of this landmark court order and the broader socio-political context surrounding this contentious issue. We aim to shed light on the key questions at the heart of this debate.
A very welcome order because we had asked for ASI survey of this entire premises apart from the Wazu tank, and this order has been passed by the Honorable District Court Varanasi. So we are very happy and we are very thankful and grateful to the Honorable District Court Varanasi.
So there has been a nod to the scientific survey of the Gyanvapi Mosque complex. Let's break down on what will be the impact of this ruling that's come out of the Varanasi Court. Now, let's take down the first points that have come out. What will be the impact of this ruling? The findings of the Archaeological Survey of India would become part of evidence in that case, and that becomes an important point number one. If we actually look at the second point, the study on whether Aurangzeb raised the temple to build a mosque in 1669, at least that was what the contention was, that also will be established after this survey is conducted. Thirdly, the scientific study on the Hindu character of the site is also going to be established. That becomes an important and contentious point, considering that will also be impacting the Places of Worship Act 1991. Now, ASI study could help exempt the suit from the Places of Worship Act. Now, why is that? It's because if proven that this is an ancient monument, we're talking about the Gyanvapi Mosque complex, then the Places of Worship Act wouldn't apply as per the Section 4 of the Places of Worship Act 1991. So that's what we are trying to ascertain, and for that, we have an august panel that is joining us this evening. Ratan Sharda, author and RSS researcher, is with us. Atikur Rahman, who is an Islamic scholar, is with us. Also with us is Sumit Nagpal, an advocate, and Majid Haidari, who's a political analyst, is also joining us this evening. Ratan Sharda, let me begin with you. I'd like to first understand this entire thing that we just broke down for our viewers, the role of the ASI scientific survey. How crucial do you think this is going to be in settling this Gyanvapi dispute?
Well, if one wanted to settle this issue, this could have been settled long back. Unfortunately, while Muslim society wants to have cordial relation and amity with Hindu society, there are mullahs and maulvis who don't want it. The way the Ram Janmabhoomi issue was dragged, similarly this issue is also being dragged. In this case, Aurangzeb and his historians have very clearly established that they destroyed the Gyanvapi Mandir, Kashi Mandir, and on the top of that, they built their ugly domes on a very beautiful temple. But we Hindus, who are supposed to be intolerant fascist people, have to run from pillar to post to claim what is theirs. Now, having said that, this particular development today is a positive development, but I don't think it's a grand, very grand success because the exception of that Shivalinga has been made. So what you find will be historically proven that this is a temple and there's been mutilated heavily. Unfortunately, Mughals didn't know that the Nandi
But
always
how?
looks at Shivalinga,
Ratin
or
Chanda,
they would have
how?
destroyed
How?
Nandi
Because
also.
because Wazoo Khana is off limits. The survey is
That's
not
what I said.
allowed.
That's why I said it's partial. That's why I said we don't have to be very satisfied because the crux was the distortion of Shivalinga with horrible the design on the top. It can be done at a later stage and deliberately avoiding this and insulting Hindus. So they are basically the people who are trying to keep on dragging this issue. They will go to High Court now, then they'll go Supreme Court now.
But
So for
Ratin
years,
Chanda,
this
it
pain
has
of the
been
society.
advised by the Supreme Court not to touch the alleged shivling slash the fountain that's being claimed by the other side.
Yeah, I know.
And
But
that is why that
way
needs to be
we are only avoiding
protected.
the problem. We are not solving the problem. We are trying to look away from the problem. This was another golden chance for the scholars of the society to go with their own society and let Hindus claim one of the top three most revered temples, most revered gods temples. But unfortunately, it's become a matter of football in the court.
Okay.
I salute I salute Vishnu Jain, but at the same time, I think society needs to solve the problems, and the courts will solve. It will take years together, and it will create bad blood, which can be easily avoided by being more reconciliatory with each other.
Okay. Mr. Majid Hydari, let me actually bring you in here. I'd like to understand your aspect also to this entire debate. When it is about this protection of religious identity and all the at the same time talking about upholding religious freedom, the right to pray, where do you see the Places of Worship Act come in all this? And how do you see that impacting in the way this verdict is really going?
Well, madam, I have three major concerns with regard to this case. The first is that we being as a nation which aspires to be the Vishnu Guru, do we want to uphold the communal harmony of 500 years because of this masjid, or do we want to go by new petitions which may put the old relations into bad taste? That is first social and general concern which should be for everybody, that why do we need a court case in this? The second point is that what Honorable Court has today observed and directed. See, this is challengeable before higher courts for two accounts. One, that is, this order seems to be the infringement of right to privacy. This infringes that right. And second point is that we have a law which is the Religious Institutions Prevention of Misuse Act of 1988. And it's section 3G, it says about the prevention. For the doing of any act which promotes or attempts to promote disharmony or feelings of enmity, hatred or ill will between different religious, racial, language or regional groups or castes or communities. So any act which could lead to disharmony, as I said in my first point, that is avoidable, and that is what we need at the moment. We do not need this case. This could have been resolved to an extrajudicial, some kind of amicable settlement. We don't need this case because this will only put our centuries of communal harmony into bad taste, and that is what we don't need at the moment. So my point is that even if Places of Worship Act is there, and then we have to look at, yes, importantly, the Place of Worship Act. See, in that clause also, this case becomes it becomes infructuous for that point, because it has been a masjid and it needs to continue to be a masjid in light of that law. So given three laws and given the social dimensions of this case, I believe we should not pursue this case. We have been in communal harmony, 4 women coming up with a petition as sudden kind of, I love and respect their astha, but sudden astha for worship at a place which has been masjid for 500 years. I mean, it needs to be probed in the angle of if there is some conspiracy to dismantle and demolish the communal harmony of centuries. Yes, over to you.
Okay. So, Adhikur Rahman, let me bring you in here. I would still go ahead and want you to answer this question that I also asked Mr. Hydari. Do you think that the court has managed to ensure that the religious harmony stay, at the same time to establish, the historical significance of this structure should also really be coming to light? Because what has come out of this court is that they have asked that the ASI must ensure that there should not be any harm that should come to the mosque and the prayers should go on as planned. So do you think that balance has been stricken as far as this order is concerned, or do you think there is more to it than meets the eye? Mr. Rahman.
Well, we should always appreciate the wisdom of the courts. And of course, yes, if the wisdom of the courts, tries to have a balance of this kind, it is a welcome step. But we don't understand that why the ruling regime, the BJP, is playing such a vulgar and obnoxious shroud on the people of India. What is a very, very simple step which the government can take and rest this controversy to, for all time this thing, to by repealing the amendment of the 1991 Place for Worship Act. The historians Irfan Habib and even Faizan Mustafa, a very, very eminent constitutionalist, have established that Aurangzeb had destroyed this particular temple wherein the Gyanvapi mosque still exists. So why this start being played by the ruling party? The wastage of the precious time of the courts can be saved. The resources of the state like the ASI and other investigating agencies. Besides this, as rightly mentioned by Majid Rezdi Srab, that the core issue of Muslims and the Hindus remaining very much congenial in their behavior will be tempered with by the BJP, by all political parties in the years to come. This is bound to go by the Ayodhya way, and Masjid-e-Alamgiri, wherein the Hindu side, Ratan Shardaji, should explain to the people of India, they are basing their claim on Masjid-e-Alamgiri, wherein it is mentioned that Aurangzeb destroyed the temple to build the Gyanvi. Masjid-e-Alamgiri, Ratan Shardaji nowhere mentions the Ram temple and the place of Ayodhya wherein Bhagwan Ram was, born. So what do you believe? If you believe the Masjid-e-Alamgiri, then should you not hand over the Ayodhya temple to the Muslims then? You are playing all games for your benefit also, which is harming the congenial atmosphere of the Hindu-Muslim relations. Why this start being played, I don't understand.
Okay, let me now bring in a legal voice. Mr. Sumit Nagpal is with me right here in the studio. Mr. Nagpal, I'd like to understand from you the intricacies of this verdict that's come out of the court, and also the fact that the Wazu Khana, which is the contentious area, that's been kept away from that survey. So how is this particular survey that's now been allowed of the ASI going to be achieving any purpose that the petitioners are wanting?
See, you have to understand one thing, that as far as Wazu Khana is concerned, Supreme Court is already looking into that particular aspect, and it was not proper for this particular court to get into that aspect. But the petition before this court was that we are not getting into Wazu Khana, but as far as rest of the premises is concerned, we need certain answers, we need to establish the truth, and that is why the application was moved for ASI survey, and that particular application has been allowed. So I don't think there is any problem as such, because the court knew that this is the parameters, this is the limit within which we have to act, and that has been done simply. I don't think there is a problem as such, because once it is established that this particular area was a temple before the mosque was built over it, then probably the petitioners will decide that this is what has come out of the investigation, and now we need to proceed further. So I can tell you that this is a first step, and later on, if the ASI finds that yes, indeed there was a temple there, then petitioners, the Hindu side, may request either the Supreme Court or the district court that this particular Shiv Linga, which they call, it should also be investigated. So this is the first step, I would say.
Okay. I would like all my panelists to just hold their thoughts, because we are now getting some more breaking news vis-a-vis the same story that we are following. This is the highlights of the court order that we have managed to bring to you right here on CNN News 18. Now, as per the court order, the key points that we have ascertained is that the Archaeological Survey of India has ordered to investigate the age and the nature of the western wall of the Gyanvapi premises, where those the figures were there, where the prayers have been allowed at least once in a year for the petitioners. There is also the second point, that the ground penetrating the radar study below the 3 domes at the site, that survey has also been allowed, and also the ground penetrating the wall beneath all the cellars, even that part has been allowed. So these are the key details that we are actually, in fact, presenting. And in fact, to throw further light on what exactly has come out of the court, what are the key aspects of this order, let me actually bring in my legal correspondent, Ananya Bhatnagar, who is also with us on the broadcast. Ananya, if you can break down all these points for us one by one, as to what really has come out of the court, and also what does it now suggest vis-a-vis this ASI scientific survey?
Well, definitely. This actually lays down the guidelines for an advocate for the scientific survey to be done by, in fact, the Archaeological Survey of India. And I'll quote some of the portions of this order for you. The director of ASI is directed to undertake the scientific investigation excavation survey at the property in question, and in fact submit its report by August 4. Now, what are the directions that have been issued to? In fact, the director of ASI is also directed to investigate the age and nature of the construction of the western wall of the building in question. They've also been asked to carry out a ground penetrating radar survey, which basically means that a radar would be put at the ground, and then radio waves would be sent in order to check as to what is beneath the ground. And it is not only beneath the western wall, but also below the three domes which are there under the and specifically below the central dome is what has been said. In fact, it also goes on to say that the director of ASI is directed to conduct a dating exercise of the pillars. So basically what the dating exercise is, that by scientific investigations, the ASI would try to find out as to how old these pillars were, because it would then settle the debate as to whether these pillars or whether the structures have been found.
Right. Ananya, I just want to understand this one aspect. What does ground penetrating radar study really mean? Is this going to be digging, or is this going to be an on-ground activity that is going to be conducted by the ASI?
Well, if you specifically talk about a GPR exercise would actually be that transmitters would be placed on the ground, and then radars would be set up there. And with that particular radar, there would be, a radio wave sent downwards, and then that ray, when it goes down, it would reflect upon if there is a surface beneath that. And then the Archaeological Survey of India would find out actually what is beneath that surface by digging it. And that's particularly what is a GPR exercise. And apart from that, also excavations would be carried out. And the dating is a very, very important aspect here, because with the dating, we'll get to know as to whether these pillars belong to pre-Aurangzeb era or were they post Aurangzeb era, because that would actually settle the whole debate down as to whether it was a temple or it was a barren land on which that particular mosque was actually built.
Right. Thanks, Ananya, for all of those details. Ratan Shada, you just saw the points that we laid out for our viewers. Survey will be an important aspect in determining that key aspect of how far back into history does the structure really stands, and that also possibly is going to be impacting on whether it falls under the purview of the Places of Worship Act or not. So would you now call this a big win for the Hindu side, or do you think there's still more to come when it is about this court order?
I've already said I don't consider it as a big win. Now I must clear some points. If scholars here want BJP government to act like very powerful government, should they own up this Gyanvapi, just as a Turkey government took up Hagia Sophia, which has no evidence of being the original being the mosque. It was something else earlier on. Should BJP create havoc by touching a law which doesn't apply to more than 100-year-old places of worship? Please go and check it. And he talks about Ayodhya. Ayodhya had was in the name of his general Mir Baki, not Aurangzeb. So there were evidences which Muslim scholars refused to accept. Even the so-called historians refused to accept. So new evidence was taken with the radar help, etc. So you can't blame that there is no evidence. It was 500 years of evidence. People who talk about 500 years of, this Gyanvapi mosque life, it is built on the top of thousands of year old temple. There is evidence continuous in the history of this particular temple. So to keep on talking of this fictitious harmony...
No, but the stakeholders are saying that that's an established fact which you're agreeing to. Atikur Rahman, would you like to come in here? What purpose do you think now this survey is going to be solving? And what do you think is going to be achieved out of this?
What is the root cause? Just 10 seconds. What is the root cause? Women are worshipping Gauri there, but Mulayam Singh government stopped the worship, so they want the right to worship. That is how the entire thing unfolded. Nothing to do with BJP.
Yeah.
Let us not try to
Atikur
drag
Rahman.
in BJP where it's not
That's a
involved.
fair point. Atikur Rahman, please respond.
Sir. Ratan Sharda ji, the Muslim side, or I am not asking for a 1991 Places of Worship Act to be repealed or amended. 2 years back, a petitioner went to the Supreme Court. It is pending. And in the Parliament, the same act is pending to be repealed or amended. The Muslim side never, said to repeal it or amend it. Sir, your side, you said rightly win-win situation, and for God's sake,
Because
RSS
we are
said,
heard. Muslim side is not.
chief said that we are not into the Gyanvapi mosque. जाके घर जाके शिवलिंग तलाश नहीं करिए, और आप आरएसएस के आइडियोलॉग आप आके बात कर रहे हैं। सर आरएसएस के तो रेडार पे ही नहीं है।
तो लेंगे ना।
नहीं आरएसएस तो पीछे हट रही है ना।
नहीं
तो
पीछे
आप
हट रही।
बीजेपी के फ्रिज कब से बन गए रतन शारदा जी? No, the nation gets confused for God's sake.
But if you are not willing to go by the court's way, Ratan Sharda, then what do you think should be the way when it is about establishing whether there is a Shivling or Jyotirling over there or not? It has to be done in this way. Don't you think this is the case? Yeah.
I said in the beginning that Hindus have to go and beg with the court for years together with something which is historically there.
All right.
And ideally for the Muslim society to take it, give it to Hindus, for very easy.
Okay.
There are people who don't want to.
Unfortunately, I have, I'm not left on time on the broadcast, but thank you so much, all my panelists who joined us on this evening, on this big debate. Thank you so much for being with us right here on Viewpoint. Up next.